Welcome to Blood, Gore, and Ghouls Horror Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Van Gool. Now, this week, I'm joined by an absolutely amazing person, and his name is Chuck. Now, Chuck is the movie guy of TikTok. If you're a horror movie fan and you don't know Chuck, you need to seek out his accounts immediately and go follow him. This dude has been an absolute machine on social media. He works his ass off to not only make great content, but to help everyone else around him. I've been a part of the horror community on social media for years now, but the community part of that wasn't anything that really stood out until I met Chuck. I had a great time talking with him and getting to know him a little bit more, and I'm excited for you all to hear it as well. So let's get into it. Please enjoy episode 39 of Blood, Gore, and Ghouls Horror Movie Podcast. He'd love to be your movie guy, my friend Chuck. Blood, Gore, Ghouls Horror Movie Podcast. Blood, Gore, Ghouls Horror Movie Podcast.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
Horror Movie Podcast. Van Gool. And today we have a legend joining us. He's the hardest working guy on TikTok and someone I'm proud to call a friend. He's my movie guy. He should be your movie guy. Welcome to the show, Chuck. What's up, brother? How are you doing?
What's going on, my friend? I am well. I hope you are the same.
Absolutely. I'm
very humbled by your introduction.
I'm very excited to talk to you. To be honest, when I first started, kind of thinking of the idea of branching out on the internet and having guests that aren't local to my location, you were the first one that came to mind. And it was right at the point when you started kind of guesting on podcasts. So I wanted to give you some time. I didn't want to just hop on that bandwagon. I wanted to let you get used to podcasts and then ask you. So here we are. It's a little overdue. Yeah. We are.
Yeah, I really needed to get my legs underneath me too, because the first couple I did were rough. You know what I mean? And the first one I did was on like this Riverside app, and it was just the people that did it had constant problems and stuff. You know what I mean? So like it was weird, and I did it from my phone, and it had static. So now I like invested money if this is what I'm going to do now. So
hell yeah. So before we get into the usual horror movie questions, let's start with what made you want to start creating content just in general.
To be frank and honest as possible, because that's just who I am. I have a lot of friends that have been telling me literally for years, like, you have all this information, like, why don't you do something with it? Because my brain, like, I remember shit that people don't remember, like this little bit actor, like a guy like, do you know who Luis Guzman is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He was Pachanga in Carlito's Way. Like, I know every fucking movie that dude was in just because, like, I like him. And he might be in the movie for, like, 3 minutes, but I remember shit like that. So my friends have always teased, not teased me, but, busted my balls about, like, having all this information. And, you should make a YouTube channel or do this or that. And then I got on TikTok and started watching shit about movies, and I got inspired, and that inspiration directly came from Ricky 666, because I love his stuff and I like fucked up movies. And I don't know, man, one day I just created a new TikTok and started posting shit. It was that, just like that.
Hell yeah. I think we've probably been mutuals on there for 6-7 months or so at this point.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
And so your account though, as a whole, is probably, how long have you been on TikTok now?
My first post was for a film called Hippopotamus, and that post was on September 22nd.
Okay.
So 8 months-ish, a little under 8 months.
Okay. So yeah, so we probably been mutuals about 6 months then. And you're up to, I just checked, 27.5K followers. Fucking mind blowing. So when I discovered you, and there's a reason for it. When I kind of discovered you and we became mutuals, honestly, I thought you'd been doing it for years. No shit. Because there's something about you and your content, and I know we've kind of talked about it before, but you have this confidence, you have this knowledge, and you're you're in your kind of in your face, but in a nice way. So I think I told you before, like what I kind of take from your videos is you subliminally saying, I have something to say, motherfucker, and you're gonna listen to me. And
Oh yeah.
it's fantastic. So you having 27,500 followers in less than a year is amazing, but you know, there's a reason for it, and you have earned every single one of those followers. So I just want to say kudos to you. And I've been doing this for almost 2 years now on TikTok. And in the past 6 months, I have grown as a creator, grown followers, all of it. And that's directly because of you, because you have inspired me. So thank you for that, Chuck.
That is, I'm not good at compliments, but the kind words I greatly appreciate. I come from the perspective, I want to see everybody win, man. Like, so like, I'm not like a gatekeeper or nothing. Like if there's anything I can do to help somebody or something I notice, like, and I also listen to other people because like, I don't know, when I started talking to Ricky when I had like 550 followers, because he made a video about me, which was totally unprompted, had no idea. I woke up one day and there it was, and it blew my mind. And I probably gained like maybe 1,500 from that post, maybe 2,000, something like that. Like it put me over 1,000. I could go live and do all that shit. But as I started doing research and learning, you know, we're doing short form content, you know what I mean? And if you don't get the person sitting on the toilet at work in the first 3 to 10 seconds, they're gone. They're not going to watch what it is. So I think that's why I'm a little more in your face, but that's just the person I am in real life too. You know what I mean? I'm a pretty bold human being. I'm not like, I don't bite my tongue or nothing either. I say what I got to say and just let it be where it is. It's just who I am as a human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it works perfectly for your content, for you. Because there's a lot of other people who are in your face and it doesn't come off in a respectable way, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it doesn't work, at least, you know, in my opinion, it doesn't work as well for others, but for you, it does. It's just your whole aura, your whole, the whole way that you make content. It just fucking works. So again, got to give you props, brother.
I greatly appreciate it, man. I work very hard at it. And I know that you create content too, so you understand like what it takes, but like, I rarely will try to put out like a rushed video or, you know, I've gotten really good at making sure even my captions are edited because I don't want them to read a misspelled word or anything. Like it's and people don't realize it's like all that little stuff, like them little tiny things. They go such a long way. Speak volumes. They go a long way, but none of it resonates with me, Ian. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I got all these people. I'm just a regular guy from Pittsburgh, man. You know what I mean? And people enjoy it, and I'm gonna keep going and see how far I can take it.
Absolutely, that's the secret. It's Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh love right there.
I think it is. Yeah, I think so.
So we'll take it back, way back in the day. What started your love for horror movies?
What started my love for horror movies was, and this is a really weird story, but psychological abuse from my mother. And I don't say that in like a funny way. Me and my sister used to act up a lot when we were kids. Like I don't want to say we were bad kids, but we weren't good by any stretch of the imagination. And my mom loved horror movies. And that's my first exposure to Poltergeist. So like literally anytime me and my sister were out of line, like that was our punishment. Like my mom would like put us in a room and fucking put Poltergeist on, you know what I mean? And it scarred me for life. Like I still find it scary all these years later because it's just ingrained to me, not only as because it's really scary, but it was also like a punishment. And I didn't realize that then, but the older that I got, and like when I got into my teens, there was something about being put in that situation that intrigued me because it was very uncomfortable and it lit something inside me and like emotions inside me. So then it turned into a chasing thing. Like I really wanted to chase that feeling. And I've been looking and I constantly try to reproduce it, you know, 30 or 40 years later. Yeah, that's where it started.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting form of punishment for sure. Um,
It worked.
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It is, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like on one hand, it doesn't sound too bad because it's horror movies, but yeah, on the other hand, though, yeah, like as a form of punishment, damn. So, wow, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, and then it ties into it went from Poltergeist to I had this neighbor growing up, Tommy Sullivan, that
Mhm.
lived catty corner to our house, and he used to babysit me and my sister. And in order to get us to shut up and go to bed, he would put on Halloween 2, specifically when Michael was walking through the hospital. And that is forever also ingrained in my head. But I was terrified of those movies. And even in Poltergeist, like when the like the storm comes and all the ground starts busting up when it's raining and everything.
Mhm.
This one time they had a tree ripped out of their yard, like from the tree company, and there was this big stump they had to get ground that was like sitting in their yard, but it had like all these tentacle legs and shit on it. And I used to think that it was from Poltergeist. And my neighbors, like, I would wake up in the morning to go out to school, and they would put like tree branches on my front steps and shit. And I would, like, when I was a little kid, and I
Yeah.
like literally thought that shit was coming to get me. So yeah, it's like a weird thing, but like, I don't know. I'm so grateful for it now, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, looking back on it now, yeah, you can kind of appreciate it, but yeah,
It's
it's
fucked up.
definitely it's definitely
Mhm.
fucked up. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. Like that's very unique. That yeah, using horror movies as a form of punishment. So is I guess is that kind of like what? So you're kind of known for watching the most fucked up shit. I mean, you're the movie guy, so you'll watch it all. But I'd say your niche is very disturbing, fucked up shit. So is that kind of like what started that? Just like kind of being in like that punishment mindset, or
Um,
is it just
I
just
mean that
fun for you?
I think yeah, I think it's a bunch of things that tie into it for me. Um, One being my childhood. Two is there was just something about like I always have to think of how to put this into the best words, but like when I started selecting things on my own, you know what I mean? Like I begged my dad to take me to see the first big thing I seen in the theaters was The Dream Child, Nightmare on Elm Street, The
Mhm.
Dream Child. And he took me to it opening night. Like I had to beg to go see it. And like it blew my mind. But there was something about the kills
Mhm.
that like it always felt to me like it was something that I shouldn't watch. You know what I mean? So like it evoked an emotion inside me that, you know, like when you looked at the cover art on a box and it's like, hey, this is something, it's like taboo. I shouldn't watch this, which automatically made me want to watch that. And then it kind of grew from there because I love even regular films that I watch that are not like horror movies. I like things that make me tick or can touch my emotions on the inside, like something that can get a reaction out of me. And when you start dipping into, you know, extreme cinema, it has that in spades, especially if they're well done. You know what I mean? And I'm obviously I've always been more on the psychological side than the graphic side.
Right.
Because I want to feel uncomfortable. You know, that's the whole problem. Like I want it to, you know, make me feel uncomfortable. So that's kind of like just, you know, where it came from for me.
Mhm.
And it progress. It's like a drug, man. You know what I mean? It's just progress. You want more and more and more. Everybody, you know, it's like the first time everybody's seen Scream and they killed Drew Barrymore. Like everybody's been waiting for that big name star to get whacked off again since that day, and it just hasn't happened. But constantly searching, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think regardless of like everyone's kind of backstory, I think all of us in the horror community and fans of horror movies, we're always chasing that high
Oh
that we
yeah,
had, and usually it stems from something from childhood. Like mine obviously weren't punishments, but I saw glimpses or I remember scenes from like Hellraiser 2 and Cronenberg's The Fly. Like that was like my
right.
first memory of horror movies, and it fucked me up. Like I was scared to death of that shit. But as I got older, I chased it, and I'm still chasing it. You know, watching movies all the time now, it's kind of desensitizes us more and more, but we're still looking for that high. And that's the fun of it too for me.
I completely agree. And the best thing about being desensitized is when you do get a hit, it makes it that much more worth it. You know what I mean? Like when you find that gem or that little thing that really like, I watched something yesterday that had a certain scene in it that I didn't see coming, that it scratched the itch in a magnificent way for me. Like to the point that I automatically rewound it. Cause I like, when I used to watch shit when I was a kid, like even Freddy, like the waterbed scene, and the one of my favorite scenes ever in horror is the sleeping bag scene in Friday the 13th. Like that sleeping bag against a tree for something like that did something for me, man. But then when you see like this new creative thing that's really like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, or how they even think of that, you know what I mean? Like just constantly chasing. Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's funny how everything kind of hits differently for everyone. Because like I said, you get in some pretty dark, disturbing movies, and and I enjoy them as well. I just can't watch them consistently. I need a little break. I need some campy 80s goofiness in there too. But yeah, I think we're both kind of on the same mindset though. Like we can watch this fucked up shit, but it has to have a point or a reason for it. So like we can watch super gory, disturbing shit, but if there's no point to it, and I know that like the kind of ongoing joke on TikTok, because everyone fucking comments, especially on your shit, is the Serbian film, which is complete trash. But I kind of lost my train of thought there. It's complete trash, but there's no point to it. It seems like they're just doing it to do it. So finding a really fucked up movie.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just said finding a really fucked up movie that does the blood and gore really, really well, but also tells a good story. I feel like that's one of the things that we're always kind of chasing.
I agree with you. And this is an exclusive for you because I've never publicly said this, but this is about, listen, if the way that it went down for a Serbian film didn't go down the way that it did, I would respect it more. But whenever all the backlash came over the film, that was only when he started drawing at straws to say that it had this social, cultural commentary to it. It wasn't advertised as that. And if that movie was advertised by all these points that he made up after the fact, then I think it has a fighting chance to be in an argument of saying something. But when it was like backpedaling for being a sicko, I lost even more respect for it, because that's what everybody's thing is when they say why they like it. Oh, well, that's how it was in Serbia, and the way the culture was in the government and everything. I said, yeah, but he said that like a year and a half after the movie was released. You know what I mean? So like, then I really knew what it was hitting for, because he's just a fucked up dude.
But yeah, I've come across a few other ones that it just feels like they do this really gross, disgusting content just to try to push the envelope, and there's no substance to it. It's just to do it. And I personally can't really get into that. Like there has to be a reason or a good story for it. So yeah, that's all I was saying.
That's how I feel about Trauma.
Okay.
And that's also how I feel about, have you seen Atros?
I have not. I've heard of it. I've heard you guys talking about it, but I have not seen it.
Atros is way worse than a Serbian film. In my humble opinion. I mean, that movie it's directed by a Mexican fella named Lex Ortega, who's apparently a really, really nice guy. And he set out to make a movie that was so offensively disturbing. He just forgot to put point behind it because he got so engulfed of how fucked up it is. And I mean, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to finish, man. It really, really is. But it don't serve no purpose. It's why watch it? Because it doesn't have anything to say. It has no purpose. It's all over the place.
Right.
So I don't know.
So jumping out of the fucked up category, maybe. What are some of your recent favorites?
My recent favorites that I love. I was getting ready to make a video actually of like what my top 5 or 10 would be up to this point in the year, and things that really stand out to me that like I more than liked but loved would be Violet. I loved.
Mhm.
Exuma, I absolutely loved. I've watched Exuma like 5 times, and it gets better and better every time I watch it. Because it's a very methodically, slow-paced, psychologically paranormal type kind of film. It's just so well done. I love that. That Eight Eyes that I just watched will probably make my top 10. I really, really enjoyed that. What else did I see that I really enjoyed? I watched so many movies. I have to like really, I don't write anything down either. I don't do Letterbox, which I really should start logging something somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know how many movies I watched this year, but I got to be over 100. I would imagine. But they're the ones that really stand out for me. None of the major studio ones. I love Low Life, so I don't know if it'll make my top 10, but I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Exhume is one that's on my list. It's been on my watch list, but at that runtime has been scaring me off a bit. So I need to just watch it.
You won't even feel it.
Fair
like
enough.
it's so captivating, man. Like it's like I didn't feel it at all. Like it really doesn't drag at all because it's busted down into 3 sections. So you get like part 1, part 2, and part 3. So you get like this story, and then you get this next perspective of the same story, and then the third act brings all that together. So like it's so well done. You don't feel the run, but I feel the runtime for that actually is necessary. Not like, have you seen The Wailing?
No, it's another one that's been on my watch list that I have not watched yet.
The Wailing is absolutely brilliant, but that you feel that's a long fucker, and you feel that every bit of that runtime. But if you can make it through, it's really worth it. It's a really good movie.
Okay, yeah. I've probably heard from you about both of them before. So yeah, I mean my watch list is fucking ridiculously long, as I'm sure
it's awful.
Yours is too. But yeah, I need to just sit down and watch it because I am definitely interested in Exuma. Because I've heard a lot of good things, so I definitely need to check it out. So maybe I'll do that today. Just take some time out and watch it. So what are some?
It's really good.
Oh yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. So I'll check it out. What are some upcoming films that you were looking forward to?
I mean, my most anticipated of the year was In a Violent Nature. Up until yesterday, because I watched it. So my second most anticipated film, see how I went right past that without speaking about it.
Uh-huh.
My second most favorite look forward to is Nosferatu. Because I'm an Eggers fan. You know, I think The Lighthouse is a masterpiece. I love The Witch. I think it's going to be phenomenal. But I knew there's a new sheriff in town, and my new most anticipated film of the year is Brute 1976. I need it. Like I absolutely need it. Because it looks fucking incredible.
Yeah, I agree. That was one I had no idea about until I saw you talking about it the other day, and I had to look it up. And I agree, it looks fucking gnarly.
Dude, he's not releasing the trailer till the end of June, and he sent me the trailer, and it literally is like, I don't want to say it's jaw-dropping, but this dude that made that movie, he knows exactly what the fuck he has, and it's going to be good. Like, because the trailer is just like, oh, dude, it just looks so good. You know what I mean? And it's so my jam. You know, it's got that Texas Chainsaw vibe to it. It's gritty and filthy and dirty and grainy. Like, it almost looks like a cross between Rejects and Texas Chainsaw, you know what I mean? But like with a whole different take on it. Yeah, I'm all in for that. And you know what? I really want to see The Watchers, the Shyamalan's daughter movie. Yeah, that trailer is really intriguing to me.
Yeah, I was intrigued by it to begin with, and I've seen way too much of it now in trailers. So I saw the first trailer, and then when I went to the theater the other day, they showed another trailer with all new footage, and I was like, I don't want to see this. Yeah, I was trying to like look at the wall, like I don't want to see. I've already seen too much. I don't want to see more. But yeah, it does look really cool, and I'm very intrigued by it as well. And I've been a fan of Dakota Fanning for a long time as well, so
Right.
pretty
Alien
interested
Romulus
in it.
is on the list too. I want to
Yes.
see that real bad.
Yeah, there's not many that I have expectations for. So even like the biggest ones out there, I'll have my expectations very low. Alien Romulus, though, I can't help it. They're pretty high.
Yeah, that and Nosferatu are the ones I have like the highest just because of the hands that they're in. Because I thought Evil Dead 2013 was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think Fede Alvarez stands on business, and he's going to release the exact film that he wants to release, and he's not going to compromise it because of some studio. So that gives me faith, and I feel the same way about Robert Eggers. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's 2 for 2 with they're just flawless films to me.
Right.
So that gives me a lot of hope to be excited.
Yeah. Speaking of Eggers and The Witch, the Violet movie that I just watched today from your recommendation. I don't want to really talk about it. I don't want to give spoilers or anything, but that felt like The Witch, like without being that movie. Like the cinematography and everything felt very much like The Witch, and I think that was a positive. Like it didn't feel like a ripoff or anything like that, obviously, but it had that feel to it, and it worked so well.
That's what I said when I reviewed it. I think it was like a combo of A24's greatest hits. You know what I mean? Like there was some Hereditary in there with the grief and, you know, some daylight shit. So you had your Midsummer in there and you had some Witch in there. And it was very much just its own little thing. And I thought it was really creative. They made it for like $38,000, which is nothing. And what they did with so little was, you know, turned out to, so it proves that you can really make something quality with not a lot of money, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's probably the most fun I have with watching all these movies and kind of getting into you know, the knowledge of the business a little bit is the amount of things you can do with not a lot of money. And usually it's really cool shit. Like in my opinion, the best movies, the best ideas are from low budget independent films. And they don't, unfortunately, they're not getting enough attention.
No, now that I got involved with Adrian and like over these people that run this film festival in Argentina and learned about their culture and, you know, people like there's people in their community that hate them because they make horror movies. Like they can't get distribution, they can't get funding. I mean, these are like, you know, When Evil Lurks, The Coffee Table, Killing God. You know, there's a bunch of them films. They all have the same actors in them. They're like a little crew of people that support each other, and they're like using their fucking they're maxing out their credit cards. They're fucking selling like to get these movies done. And even in the States, you know what I mean? Like they get lost on Tubi or they get lost on video on demand and people don't watch them. So like I almost feel like it's like a badge of honor that if I find it that I have to let people know about it, because it's like I respect the craft of the art, and I don't even make art. You know what I mean? I don't think TikTok is art, but it's creating.
Right.
So I'll take independent over big budget any day of the week, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know about you, but the way I look at it, like I used to do movie reviews is how I would say I review movies on TikTok, and now I'm not really reviewing them. I just want to get the name out. I want to kind of give you some of my thoughts, but it's more so like I want to be the guy that is finding you know, independent, low budget or no budget movies and be like, here, go watch this. Like here's this you might not have heard about. Like go watch it. And I get those vibes from you as well, and I think that's kind of what like kind of attracted me to your page in the first place. Was you weren't saying like this movie is dog shit or don't watch this movie. It was more like, hey, here's my thoughts on it, but you know, go check this out. Like here's something you might not know about, and I think that's awesome, and I love being in that group as well.
I rarely do negative reviews. I mean, I did The Strangers just because it was such a letdown that I had to do it. But but there might be 5 negative, movie things on my whole entire page. And I just think of it this way. Like I could spend, the 20 minutes or a half an hour it takes me to make a video telling somebody about how bad something is. But what if that was the video that I was supposed to put out about this little independent film that goes crazy on TikTok and gets it distribution or funding or something like that? And I just try to push my energy into a more positive direction. Because everybody's like, well, how's your fan base going to know what not to watch? I said, well, they can figure it out on their own. I mean, I'm here to let you know I'm giving us a stamp of approval, support this movie. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, and people are picky. They're going to complain no matter what you do. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Meh. That's my favorite comment is meh.
Meh. Absolutely.
Meh. Yeah. Meh.
But yeah, I've always been on that mindset too. Like I don't want to tell you to not watch a movie. I'd rather, I'll say if it's not for me, but that doesn't mean it's not for you. So if you want to go watch it, go watch it. If you enjoy it, awesome. Because there's ones that I've given not great reviews to where I'm like, I wish I did. I wish I liked it. So if you enjoy it, then awesome. I'm genuinely happy for you. But yeah, at this point, I would rather just get those names out, talk about the movie, and rather kind of give attention to the lower budget indie movies that aren't getting all the attention because they definitely deserve it. So moving forward then, so you have a podcast of your own now, correct?
I do. Well, it's not my own. It's a shared joint adventure. I became 1/4 of the Dark Screen Society, and that is with my friends Gigi from Room for Scream, Seth from According to Seth, and Brian from Brian Fears Ghosts. And it's a really funny story because I was actually the first person that Seth asked, hey, do you want to start a podcast? And then I was like, man, I don't know if I can commit to that because I raise 2 kids. I work 50 to 60 hours a week. Like, so I stay up till like 2:30 in the morning and lose sleep sometimes to make the next day's videos, you know what I mean? Just to have them done. Like, it isn't like I have all this free time to watch movies. I just have a passion and want to make it happen. But when I declined and then I seen the podcast and I seen the dynamic, I was like, this could be something. And I instantly regretted it. And then, a short couple weeks later, it came back full circle that the other guy just kind of, his heart just wasn't in it. He's a good kid. His heart just wasn't into it. You know what I mean? And then they said, we'll have you on as a guest and, see if we can make it official. And by the end of the episode, they were like, no, you're staying here. You can't go nowhere. And I was like, all right, cool. I just got done before we got on here and we had the most unhinged episode. Like, it was just, I want to say it was a shit show, but it was so organic how everybody went off of each other. And it was really, we just got a real nice dynamic, man. I really hope it turns into something because it's a blast and they're very genuine people to keep company with.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm friends and fans, are a fan of everyone involved. So yeah, it's quite the Avengers crew of creators there. So very very excited for that for you. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes here, so that people can find that as well.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of the podcast, then what's next for Chuck? Where do you want to go here in the next year?
In the next year?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, with you, I'd say next 2 months because you'll be 100K, but we'll say a year.
I don't know about that. I am really excited I have 2 pretty good opportunities coming up. One being I'm going to Chicago in October. There's a guy I made friends with. His name's Kevin Interdonato. He's a guy from Jersey. He makes movies, writes movies. He just started his own production company. But he just got his first big budget film from a big studio. And they're shooting on location in Chicago. And he invited me to go just watch how a movie's made for a couple of days. Just be on set, see how it works, all that stuff. So I'm real excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But Fantastic Fest is, I don't even believe it's happening. You know what I mean? Me, Seth, Gigi, Ray from Scare Pair, and Justin Slasher Talk are all going. We got an Airbnb. But we got press passes. So we'll get to interview actors, directors, fucking see all these movies. Like, and I just think it could be, I think it could be an opportunity. I think being a creator or whatever it is opportunity meeting willingness and being in the right place at the right time. And you might talk to one person that could change your life forever. You know what I mean? So the more you put yourself out there, the better your chances are. So I'm really excited about that. And we'll just see how it goes. I'm not quitting. You know what I mean? Like every time I'm like, oh, if I hit 30K, I'm going to take a little break. I said that at 20K. I said it at 10. I said it at 5. Like, cause I'm like, oh, I'll just take a week off or something. And like, I get like obsessed and I just want to go harder. Like I'm not trying to like microwave my growth, but I just want to be consistent. I think consistency is the most important thing you could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And that's one thing I knew, but I kind of also learned it from you. Cause I knew consistency. So I would make one video a day, and then I met you and I'm like, oh, I need to ramp this shit up. So now I'm making 2-3 videos a day. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of work.
Since you started making more, you've grown, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. You almost have to like bully the algorithm. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, even if a video doesn't do good, you're still relevant. And I think that consistency and relevance is good. You know what I mean? Like, cause I even like 2 weeks ago, I slowed down and I was only doing like one in a picture slide or something a day. And like, that 10-day period was like, it was almost like I didn't even fucking exist on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like my shit was really low. So I started ramping up again, but it gets frustrating. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it really is. Yep. Yeah. The picture thing was cool there for a little while. And now that's kind of like shit the bed. So yeah, it's like I had content that I could it was easy content, quote unquote. So like if I didn't have a movie to talk about or a movie review, I could put something together quick when I'm at work and just get something out. And lately it's just been, it has to be a video. It has to be a movie related video. So yeah, that means watching more movies throughout the day, which I'm not opposed to, but it's like, it's, when you're almost 40 with a family and a full-time job trying to find,
I get it.
Yeah. I know you understand. But just in general, like, it's hard to find the time and then trying to stay relevant and build your account. So yeah, and that just shows, everything that you've done and all the hard work and commitment you've put into it. Like I said, there's a reason why you're at 27,500 in less than a year, because you're devoted. You've put a ton of hard work into it, and you can continue to do so every day. So like I said, it is well deserved, my friend.
I greatly appreciate that. It's also good to have 40 years of knowledge of movies too. You know what I mean? And you have the same, because you can always just, there's things that I've seen that I forget about, like, cause it's just been so long or whatever. And then I'll just do like sometimes I'll just go through and just read reviews and like just do a refresher course of something I forgot about, you know what I mean? And then make a video. Like I can't, ain't nobody got time to watch 12 movies a day. You know what I mean? Like anybody that says they do, that's full of shit. Cause you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, so I tried, but all the new ones, I mean, you got to watch them,
Yeah.
Cause you ain't seen it before,
Right. Yep. Yeah. It's funny. Since, you're a couple years older than me, but we're in this roughly same age range. Physical media was a big thing. It is still a big thing, but we grew up with it. And it's funny coming across something that kind of like turns on a light bulb. So to explain it, so one of the big movies that kind of comes and goes is Found on TikTok, right? And it was a movie I didn't think I had ever heard of, and I'm pretty sure I kind of quote unquote discovered it from you when you talked about it, and it kind of
wasn't me.
Found?
I don't think so. I never did Found.
Really?
I did a slideshow of Found. Like I did a slideshow, and then this is the story of Found on TikTok in the last 6 months. All right. I did a slideshow with a poster in it. and then Ricky dropped a video on Found, and everybody ripped off Ricky's video, which there's a certain individual that I'll leave completely and totally unnamed that literally made a Found video 12 hours after Ricky did. And it's almost beat for beat, word for word. And that video did like 240,000 or something like that. And then it went to Danny Horror. Then it went to, you know what I mean? Like, cause it's cool when everybody watches it and blows it up, but no, that's one that did not, that definitely did. I'm not going to take the credit for Found. It didn't originate for me.
Well, fair enough. But we've all talked about it, and I didn't think that I knew what it was. So regardless of where it came from. So then I watched it, did my video on it, whatnot, a couple months back. And I was out at Goodwill randomly. And I came across the DVD.
Get the fuck out of here.
And even though it's literally the same cover of like what I put in my background, seeing the DVD just like it like lit off this light bulb, and I'm like, I fucking know this. I've seen this in video stores for years, but I never I'd never watched it. But I'm like, I know, like, I'm familiar with this movie. So it's weird just like kind of seeing, like, it's one thing to kind of like, we all talk about movies and like seeing our videos, and there might be clips or posters, but there's just something that like sometimes you just have to see it in real life. Yeah. And it's kind of like, you're like, oh shit, yeah, I do know that. So that was
seeing
just
it out in the woods. Yeah, running around out in the wild when you see it in the wild. Yeah, that's awesome. And you probably paid what, a couple bucks for it.
Oh yeah, I think it was $2. And funny enough, Headless is on it as well in the special features.
Oh really? The whole thing?
Yeah, Headless and Deep Dwellers is on.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's I like Googled it to see if you could find it online anywhere, and it's not. It's the other movie that's in Found.
Did you watch it?
Not yet, but I'm going to.
I'm very interested in Deep Dwellers. I'm literally going to search. I'm going to scour the earth for it when we get off here. I did do Headless. I did Headless before the Found explosion.
Okay.
But then the Headless explosion happened.
Yeah, I haven't done Headless. And I think mainly for that reason, because it was like everyone still talks about Headless. So maybe I'll give that one.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
No, I'll give that one some more time before I make a video about it. But no, I just thought that was a cool little thing, like just seeing a DVD out randomly and be like, oh, like it just like sets something off, like a memory that you completely forgot about.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I think that'll about do it. That's all I had as far as questions for you. Did you want to plug anything? What's your TikTok, Instagram, any of that?
My TikTok is at Charlie Napalm 2. I'm sure it'll be down in the comments. And then the podcast is Dark Screen Society, and we're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. I don't know the ats, but hopefully you're in the thing, or you can find me on TikTok and I can tell you. And yeah, I'm not really a plug person. You know, I'm easy to find. And I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to spend the time with you, because you're also somebody in the community that I absolutely respect, and, you know, your hustle for what you do. And, you know, you come off very genuine, and I know you really care about the things that you talk about because you love it. You could tell that you fucking love it and you grew up on it. And like, that's what I appreciate. You know what I mean? Like, it's just another human being that genuinely loves what we love. And it's a great thing to share with other human beings.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and I appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come hang out and chat for a little bit.
No, anytime, man. I would do it anytime. And you're already on our list. I have a list. We're going to do like this is breaking news too, but we're going to do like a roundtable episode that we're going to record in different parts. Okay. And we're going to try to get we thought about doing I don't want to put it out there because if somebody hears it, they might try to take it. But we have some ideas of how to use multiple creators in the same video, and give them each like their own little segment to tie it into the same subject type kind of thing. That way we can cover more ground with it. And I think it's going to be a really fucking cool thing to see. So we got some ideas, man, you know, and it's I'm very excited about it and what the future holds, you know, and we'll see how it all turns out. But
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to see it, brother. Well, yeah, again,
Well,
everyone
thank you.
watching, everyone watching, listening, again, if you do not follow Chuck, go change that. Go give him a follow. Cause yeah, he is a great dude, great friend, and I can't say enough good things about you, brother. So again, thank you for taking time out, and we'll talk to you soon. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Thanks so much to Chuck for hanging out. And again, if you're not following him on social media, I'd highly recommend doing so. Now, I'll include all the links to his accounts as well as the Dark Screen Society podcast in the show notes. As for us here, if you're looking for a way to show support after listening or watching the episode, well, we do have a Patreon. $3 a month helps pay some of the bills associated with doing this every week. Now, shout out again to Ghoulie Julie for being our #1 supporter 5 months in a row. I appreciate you. We also have merch. Check it out at ghoulsquadshop.com. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Discord, Facebook, and YouTube. And as far as Discord, if you want to join the Discord, you hit the link and it doesn't work. Now, that link's not supposed to expire, but apparently it has been. So if it doesn't work for you, shoot me a message. I try to keep it updated, but yeah, just shoot me a message. I'll get you in there. No problem at all. If you're listening to the audio portion of the podcast, hit that like, follow, subscribe, whatever that button is there. Whatever you see there, hit it and give us a 5-star rating. I'd appreciate it. But thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Have a great week. And please, stay safe out there.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you.
There you go. That's it.